can actually catch this conversation live on Facebook at Metropole TV Kenya. We are on Twitter live there as well at Metropole TV Kenya, YouTube at Metropole TV Kenya, hashtag Business AM. I am a Charles _Kiage. Talk to us, write back to us. Guess what we do? We talk back to you. Now we're back in the last segment of our conversation this morning, and that means good things. We're telling you exactly what is happening in other sectors of the economy. And this morning we are talking about financial inclusion. What is that? Do you understand it? And yes, everybody's talking about financially including all the people, all the sectors of the economy, so we can drive towards one function. And so you would think that you understand everything around it, but I will tell you no, you don't. This morning, we are joined by Microsave, all right, as we talk about what they are doing or what they have been doing for the past 20 years to actually include talk about financial inclusion, or to give it a bigger understanding. All right, let's therefore meet our guest this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Karibu sana Metropole TV.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you around.
Thank you.
I just want us to really talk about what you mean when you say financial inclusion, just before we talk about Microsave. Yes.
Now, financial inclusion is basically accessing financial services in the most convenient way.
Yes.
Yeah, you find that previously people have really struggled to access finance, and this is because of the challenges around risk management, institutions
yes.
putting what I can call impediments. A customer will want to qualify for a loan in the most convenient way because they do not have the collaterals.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what we mean by financial inclusion.
Yes.
I just want you to tell me now, for the past 20 years that Microsave has been in business, what have you been doing around this area for financial inclusion for somebody outside there to actually get it better and understand it? Yes.
Yeah. We've worked with so many governments,
yes.
Commercial banks, microfinance institutions in a number of areas. Critical support that we've given these institutions or the donors or the commercial banks are maybe like product management, digital innovations, supporting them to transform digitally
yes.
in this era.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm surprised that even this era, you find banks are still very manual in their way of operations. Yes. So what we basically support financial institutions is to ensure that they are able to offer financial services efficiently
yes.
and conveniently,
yes.
Maybe through the digital platforms.
Yes,
yeah.
I like the way you're talking about the digital way of doing things around that.
Yeah.
Do you believe that therefore that the only solution around calling yourself efficient, we're actually talking about financially including everybody in the economy, is you going the digital way?
That is the only way.
Yes.
Because why should we remain manual? Why should we be using books, for instance?
Yes.
Filling so many forms, asking for so many documents, and basically you only need to understand the customer that you are serving.
Yes.
Through properly understanding their sources of income, scoring,
yes.
Using the CRM management systems, and such like things.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody does know the informal nature of the Kenyan economy. I mean, the Bestland economy is really very informal. We have mama mbogas who wake up in the morning, they'll go buy their wares, by the end of the evening, they're pretty much done with that. So when we're talking about, therefore, financially including this informal sector of the economy, where did you, as Microsave, really begin to think about this part of the economy from?
Now, actually, we need these mama mbogas.
Yes.
We need them for this economy to move forward. These are the MSMEs.
Yes.
And you see, this segment is actually interlinked all the way to the corporate level. And these are the people that will be able to, we need to bring to the fold of the financial system.
Yes.
If indeed financial institutions need to progress and be more profitable. We've seen some banks which have actually changed the game of banking business by moving to the mass market,
yes.
So to say, either through being flexible in terms of these customers when they want the loan facilities.
Yes.
We've seen some banks being very flexible through understanding the customers that actually we don't need the tangible collaterals for these customers to access a loan facility.
Yes.
So what we are trying to say that these mama mbogas, we really need to understand them, the way they do their businesses, their ability, and most importantly, the character.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you look at getting access to finance, when you're talking about financial inclusion, therefore, I know you've worked with a lot of banks as well. I know you've worked with donors as well for the past 20 years. Yeah. What are these key aspects that everybody looks for before they can actually extend credit to anybody really seeking credit for them?
Yeah. Initially, it was so much into collateral-based lending. At the moment, it's no longer the issue. What you need to look at the customer is that ability to yes. repay and character assessment. And when you're talking about character, is basically that willingness that this customer will be able to pay. You can use a number of ways to gauge or to understand that this customer will be able to repay or not.
Yes.
Usually there is that engagement that you have with the customer who has expressed an interest to access a loan facility.
Yes.
You really want to talk and understand what they do, look for consistencies in looking at the information they are giving you today, yes. and maybe the information that you'll find on the ground. Because one of the things that you need to do in understanding the customer is basically assessing their source of income, or let me call it their revenues. What are these sources? It could be one, it could be two. And again, you also need to do what we call referencing. Referencing could be through the scoring mechanisms, like using the credit reference bureaus. That is one of the ways, because you'll be able to tell whether a customer has multi-borrowed, or even if he has multi-borrowed, what has been the repayment record.
Yes.
And you'll also actually realize that customers, most people have more than one loan. They have more than one loan. The question is, how good is that repayment? Mm-hmm. So that will tell you the character bit of the person you are dealing with.
Yes.
So I think that is critical, and the other aspect is the ability.
Yes.
The ability now is how much are you making, maybe from your sources of income, and how much are you able to expense, so that what is then left that we can attach towards their own repayment.
Yes.
And for microfinance industry, you're not supposed to, assuming I have an ability of say $2,000 or to 20,000 Kenya shillings. We are not supposed to commit the entire 20,000. You are overburdening such a customer. We normally commit up to a maximum of 75% of that revenue that is available, yes. for loan payment. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a good thing that we're talking about this morning. I just want us to get to exactly the other aspect of financial inclusion that Microsave talks about. You're talking also about the social part of it. What do you mean when we talk about social financial inclusion? Okay. Yes.
Now, many things here, including insurance,
yes.
Including edu financing, including even digital credit itself.
Yes.
I know we've worked with a number of players, including telecoms, commercial banks as well as MFIs in terms of product development. Most recently, we were trying to look at how we can come up with a product around the insurance and working with actually, I can say, the biggest insurance firms that you can think of. I remember in the last like 2-3 years, we've supported around 3 financial institutions on edu financing in sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah, so what you first of all need to do is to understand what the customer needs in these social segments. You need to carry out the market research. We have a very good model which we call Market Insights for Digital Innovations, MI4ID, which we really get to the ground, understand the customers, what is it that they want, and then we develop products around that that are customer-centric, that are able to meet their needs and expectations. So that a customer can then be able to prefer, choose, and use the products that we've designed. Yes.
For somebody who's looking at the economy from a very critical angle of exactly what people need when it comes to financial inclusion, would you say that there's a general trend now for the past 20 years? Have you seen people that embrace this digital means of getting financially included? Are we building our profiles digitally, or we're still stuck to the culture that everybody talks about the Kenyan economy while we like doing the things the old way?
In fact, for the last like 9 years, things have really changed. We are now moving, everything is getting digital. And for an institution that is still doing business in the old way, honestly, you may not survive in the next 10 or 20 years to come. Every single financial institution is thinking of how can they be able to do their business differently and more efficiently with very minimal costs, so that you can then leverage on minimal resources but realize huge revenues. And the only way to do that is to do digital transformation for your institution, both from operations perspective and even the learning perspective.
I just wanted to understand therefore this morning exactly how somebody gets to be your client and exactly what it takes to be your client. And what are these benefits, therefore, that you can get just being under the Microsave umbrella?
Now, we deal with the governments, we deal with the donor institutions, we deal with the commercial banks, we deal with MFIs, we deal with SACCOs. We work with everybody in the financial inclusion space. Yeah, so basically you can reach us through our website, Microsave Consulting, which we rebranded now to MSC.
Yeah. And so this morning, therefore, when anybody is listening to you, even before we talk about exactly what your bounds and bits have been over the past 20 years, is that you like to think about what everybody talks about fintech and fintech within the Kenyan economy. I mean, everybody will tell you this morning, it's very easy for me to get a loan, therefore, from this mobile lenders within the economy. How do you think that has affected really the financial inclusion space vis-a-vis what people are saying over the other side? Like, look, this is really good, yes, but over the other side now, we do have people who are actually now listed so much to the point that they cannot actually get themselves out of debt.
Before mobile lending came into place, the normal way of accessing a loan facility was you walking physically into a brick and mortar commercial bank, taken through a very rigorous exercise of filling forms and bringing a number of requirements, so many requirements and complicated. And it could take you 2-3 months for you to access a loan facility. And the biggest challenge then was the collateral aspect, a tangible collateral. Now, all over the last 5 or 10 years, we've seen digital credit coming into place, and it is so easy. You simply need to make a request on your phone, and you get the loan facility, as long as your score is good, as long as you have a good credit rating. Now, the challenge that is there is that you can be able to access even 10 loans, and we are not able to control that. And so you are not able to really put to a stop how many loans you are going to access. Yes. And people are now struggling. Some are ignorant, they didn't know. Some think it is free money. And actually there is a study we carried out a month or so ago. We have a very good report that you can be able to see the impact it is creating.
Yes.
Yes.
So even when we talk about financial inclusion, therefore, we also have to look at the other side as well, isn't it? That in as much as, yes, we're talking about people being able to access this money, there's the other side that we really need to take care of, isn't it? All right, I just want us to go back to Microsave, therefore. What are the advances you've made within the Kenyan economy, and what do you expect to see yourself in the next few years? It's been 20 years, it's a long time. Yeah. It's funny, I should tell you how you see yourself. Already you've been there. Yeah. But when we're talking about financial inclusion, what do you expect? What do you expect to see in the next couple of years?
Apparently, over 80% of Kenyans are now able to access a mobile phone. And to be precise, actually 83%. And with that and access to the internet and the mushrooming, let me say that these mobile-based credit services, which are easily available, we are seeing more and more people getting financially included. The biggest challenge that we are going to struggle with is at the listing of people who are now not able to repay their loans as expected. So that is one, and we expect to see most institutions moving into digital lending, yes, especially the MFIs and the SACCOs. That is what they aspire.
Yes.
Yeah. So our contribution will be properly supporting these financial institutions so that they are able to transform into the digital space and be able to give financial services to their customers so that they are supported and helped, not to their detriment.
Yes. Yes. So when you look at, and I want us to go back to, sorry if you may, I just want us to go back to when you spoke about commercial banks, the few banks that you've already worked with. Yeah. There's a whole chunk of commercial banks within the Kenyan economy, and we do know exactly what most of them have been through. Yeah. It's pretty much lend to the government as much as we can, while at the same time avoiding the mass market. Do you think a good percentage of commercial banks in the country actually do realize the digital inclusion space that has not been exploited yet?
I don't think there is still room for improvement.
Yes.
And this is now where we come in as a Microsave Consulting.
Yes.
We are able to, because we are always out there carrying out market studies to really understand what the customers want. And things keep on changing. Maybe in the next 5 years, we would have transformed into completely something different. So I don't think financial institutions have really fully understood what the customers want.
Yes.
So, which is why we need to really invest in research.
Yes.
And because at the end of the day, you don't want to give a customer a product that is not meeting the needs.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but banks have really been blamed on withholding credit just before we had the cap on interest rates repealed. Yeah. But on the other side as well, even when you talk about financial inclusion, there's the whole chunk of non-performing loans that actually get pushed the Kenyan economy. We have them now at 278 billion shillings, which goes a long way to tell you that there's a whole lot of perspective that is missing here.
Yes.
Is that in as much as, yes, there's finance that is going to push the economy, then at the end of the day, is that it's going to the wrong people or it's just the wrong product.
Which is which is why we need now again to invest in financial literacy.
Yes.
We don't want just to give a product. We need to educate our customers so that they can be able to understand what is it that they are getting into.
Yes.
With the experience I've had in doing lending or dealing with customers in credit,
yes.
Sometimes customers will come and put a request. I need maybe 1 million or 2 million. Yes, they have a purpose, but actually they do not expect you to give that 1 million that they mentioned. They would expect that you might want to think of reducing the amount. So at the end of the day, they'll start struggling to repay the loan. So we really need to take the customer through what is it that they are getting into, yes. and understand like what is the purpose, what is the breakdown. Are you able to break down this 1 million? How is it going to be spent? Yes. And then be able now to relate that to the income ability of the customer. Yes. And at the end of the day, this customer will be able to understand that actually I don't need the entire 1 million. I probably need like 500,000. Isn't it? So that at the end of 1 year or two, I'll be able to comfortably repay my loan and still have that positive credit rating. Yes. You would reckon that that is actually missing within the Kenyan economy. Yes. Even as we cry about money being there, at the end of the day, we really need to also get into that. Are you getting into that space as well as Microsave? Yes, and especially in the agri, that is private sector development. That is one area that we are investing a lot in that. We are developing products where you get to know that I need probably to borrow 500,000. I need to spend it this way, and I need this percentage of inputs. Maybe after this cycle, I need this percentage of materials, probably pruning, probably weeding, the labor and the like. So we are not simply developing products, but rather we give you information that will be able to guide you across the full cycle, pretty much, of whichever value chain we are talking about. Yes. Yes. I'm getting told our 25 minutes are actually done. This has been a very interesting conversation, and I say what, we'll call you back again so we can talk about these issues on a broader perspective, especially when it comes to understanding what the market really needs when it comes to financial inclusion. All right. Thank you. That is Microsave for you. You want to know about them? Just go online right now, Microsave, or you can actually talk to us. We can give you a direct link to them. Get to see their products and exactly what they're into when it comes to financial inclusion. All right. This morning, that's exactly what we had for you. Good thing is you can actually go to YouTube. I want you to try that right out and take us back a few steps. You can actually do that. Even if it's at night, you can take us back a few steps again and actually get to watch this conversation here today. But you can catch this conversation as well on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You're talking to us. Good morning. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiag.